are seeing the President of the United States. Look at the lines.
You join our movement.
A lot of President Trump supporters here.
Greatest movement in the history of our country. I'm fighting for you, and I love doing it with everything that I have. And I will never, ever stop. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will make America great again.
Welcome to Team Trump Online.
This president deserves the support of the Black community because he's earned it.
There is a silent majority of us that see you, see what you're doing, see what you did for HBCU schools. That was actually the deal for us.
I wager to say that there is no American president since Lincoln that has had the impact for Black America that President Trump has had.
Joe Biden supported the crime bill in '94.
He has imprisoned Black America, basically.
Trump supported the NAACP and Black youth like myself in '87.
He's a businessman. He's bringing businesses back into America.
Bringing jobs back to America.
Bringing the truth back, and he's stopping needless wars.
My day is going to be amazing. I'm never going to forget this day. This day is historic.
In 2016, I made you a solemn pledge. I would be your greatest champion. In the first 3 years, we achieved the lowest Black unemployment rate in history. We achieved the largest job gains for African Americans on record. The poverty rate for African Americans reached the lowest level ever recorded. I did more for the Black community in 47 months than Joe Biden did in 47 years.
We cannot deny that that man has done everything that he has set out to do in record-breaking time. Can we say 3 years? Can we say 3 years?
We will create 3 million new jobs for the Black community. Open 500,000 new Black-owned businesses. Bring even greater fairness to the justice system. We did criminal justice reform.
I want to thank President Donald John Trump.
Create a ladder of opportunity for African American children by delivering school choice to every parent in America. Together we made unbelievable progress and achieved once unimaginable success. And with your support, your vote, and your voice, the best is yet to come.
You can expect us to come out in droves in your support. For absolute certain. That's a certainty.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Team Trump Online. I'm Lara, Trump's senior advisor to President Trump's reelection campaign. And you know I'm really working because I'm here on a bus right here in the great state of Florida on a Women for Trump bus tour. And we're really excited to be coming to you tonight because we have two incredible guests. We have Dana White, president of the UFC, and Senator Marsha Blackburn from the state of Tennessee joining us. So I want to first welcome our guest and our friend, Dana White, to the show. Dana, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So listen, you have been such a success. You are sort of the American dream epitomized in so many ways. You took the UFC from a $2 million company to a $4 billion enterprise. And throughout the course of this COVID pandemic, I thought it was really incredible because you did something that I heard a lot of business owners saying they wanted to do. You didn't make a single layoff at the UFC. You kept everyone employed. Tell me, why was it so important to you during this really tough time in America to keep your staff intact?
Yeah, we didn't lay off anyone and we didn't cut anybody's salaries. And my people have been with me for a long time, and you said it. We built this thing from a $2 million business to a $4 billion business. And nobody does that by themselves. You need a really good team with you. My team is hardcore. They love this as much as I do. All these people work hard and take time away from their families while we go out on the road and promote fights and put on fights. And I love these people that work for me. And it was very important to me not to lay anybody off. So I knew we could figure out. Listen, as Americans, what we do is we solve problems. We figure out what the problem is, we solve it, and then we work hard. And that's literally how this company was built.
It's amazing. Well, it truly is a testament to what a great country, our company you built, and what a great country we live in, that you're able to do such a thing. And I think a lot of people who may not have been used to hearing from you have so many fans out there who watch UFC, who know you, but there were a lot of people that got to know you recently when you spoke at the Republican National Convention. I thought your speech was absolutely incredible, really standing up for law enforcement. I want to take a look for anybody that missed it. Let's watch this.
How quickly some of the leadership in this country has forgotten the critical role first responders play in our society. Police departments and other law enforcement, even some fire departments, have faced opposition from many in this country. But they are always the people who are asked to step up when things are at their worst and put themselves at risk. That has certainly been the case during this ongoing pandemic. Come on, America. Defunding these vital positions is not the answer.
Wow. Dana, your speech was really inspiring, really amazing. And by the way, spot on. So why did you feel like it was so important to really make your speech about law enforcement? Why did you go that route?
Well, I'm a huge supporter of law enforcement as it is, number one. And number two, you know, the way that law enforcement is being treated right now is disgusting, to be honest with you. And, you know, somebody's got to stand up for them, and I'm not afraid to. So, you know, I think that we live in a society right now where people are actually afraid to voice their opinions. If you have an opinion that isn't like everybody else's, you know, I think a lot of people feel like it's dangerous, whatever it might be. Well, I've never been that guy. I'm not afraid to stand up for what I believe in. This is America. Everybody should get to stand up if they believe in, on both sides, no matter what your opinion is. But to treat law enforcement the way that we are right now, and listen, there's no doubt things need to be fixed and some things need to be changed. And maybe, you know, there needs to be better training for police officers or whatever it is. There's an answer. Again, there's a solution to these problems. Defunding the police is definitely not one of them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And it is nice to hear that there are people like you willing to stand up and fight for it. I say every single day, thank God we have our men and women in blue. They are what keeps our country safe, our community safe every day. They allow us to have the freedoms that we have been given in America. They don't know when they leave their house every day whether or not they will come home. We owe them such a debt of gratitude. And I loved how much you supported them in this great RNC speech. You've also been outspoken about something else, Dana, and it's about bringing sports back. I mean, look, we're in football season. I am so excited. We finally do have sports coming back, but the first to come back was MMA, your sport, with your leadership at the UFC. Why do you think we really needed to get sports back right now? Because it's something that I think a lot of people have been pushing forward on. And I also want to ask you what your experience has been like, because you've been on the president's sports task force. And that sounds like if I had to sign up for one, I got to tell you, that's the one I'd be on.
Yeah. So first of all, I knew we could do it. I would spend the money to figure out how to do this thing. I mean, we had to build our own lab. We were talking about building our own lab out here at the UFC headquarters for testing for COVID-19.
Wow.
I knew we would figure it out. I knew my staff would go, and I knew the fighters would want to fight. So I knew that we could be first. And the president was big on this. The president felt that, you know, there had to be some sort of normalcy for people while they were at home quarantining, whatever. And he felt like sports was the first thing that should come back. And he put together the task force, and he had these calls where he was talking to all the heads of all the sports. We were all on these big conference calls, and I thought the president did an incredible job with that. And he was there for everybody. He listened to everybody's problems, and he offered solutions, and he offered himself up and basically said to everybody, if there's anything you need from me, don't hesitate to call, and I will help you in any way possible, that I can. The president was incredible through this thing. So, I knew I was going to be able to do it, and with his help, it just made it that much easier.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. Look, we need to get sports back. I'm happy that college football is one of my favorites. I'm excited to see that back, and I have to say thank you, Dana, for leading the way and the charge on this. I think it's been really important to achieve normalcy and to get people back to feeling like, it's normal life once again. To wrap up with you today, I want to get your thoughts because we are headed towards November 3rd. We are headed towards likely the most consequential presidential election in modern American history. What would you say to people, Dana, who are considering either not voting or perhaps voting for Joe Biden and the socialists that are running the Democrat Party now? What would you say as we head towards Election Day?
My big thing is that no matter where you stand politically, no matter what race, sexual orientation, gender, religion, any of that stuff, at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and we need to unite. The strength of this country depends on it right now. And listen, I don't ever really get political, but this really isn't brain surgery to figure out, pun intended, who to vote for. But listen, no matter what side you sit on, you need to get out and vote. I'm a hardcore rah-rah America guy. I love this country. I love everything that this country provides for every American. And I don't ever want to lose that. I don't ever want to lose, I'm a big believer. You said it at the beginning of this interview. I'm a big believer in the American dream. It's real, it's alive, and it literally can happen to anybody who has a great idea and is willing to work hard enough. And we need to protect that.
Got that right. Well, I couldn't agree with you more. The American dream is alive and well right now. We got to keep it that way. So Dana White, thank you so much for joining us today, giving us your forward. I look forward to being in person at one of your fights. My husband has been there. I haven't yet been in person, so we'll see you soon, I hope.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
All right, and everybody else, stay right where you are. Coming up next, we have Senator Marsha Blackburn. She's going to join us and talk about Joe Biden's love affair with the Communist Chinese Party. We'll be right back.
I looked deep into it and I did the math. Why did Obama send money to that Wuhan lab? What is George Soros doing with all of his cash?
Joe Biden, when he was on the Breakfast Club.
Whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Oh, hold on now. Oh, y'all really do think y'all own our vote?
Gun throwing patriots, God being patriot. Pricing why they mad, cause I'm really Navy faking it.
Trump 2020 landslide. I haven't seen not one Joe Biden sticker yet.
And now we're opening with a bang. And today's announcement proves that our economy is roaring back. It's coming back extremely strong. The United States economy added almost 5 million jobs. Likewise, Hispanic employment is up by 1.5 million jobs. 3 million more women were employed in the month of June. This is better than a V. This is a rocket ship.
Welcome back to Team Trump Online. I'm Lara Trump, and we just heard from our good friend Dana White, and now we are so honored to be joined by the senator from the great state of Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. Marsha, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, I'm delighted to join you, and thank you and all of the Trump volunteers for the great job that they're doing. We need 4 more years of President Donald Trump.
Yes, ma'am, you got that right. Well, that's why I'm on a bus on the road right now, working hard, and I know I see you out working hard as well. Something that we did do from the campaign recently is we just launched a new ad, and it talks about Joe Biden's relationship with China. I want everybody to watch this.
China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. We want to see China rise. It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. They're not bad folks, but guess what? They're not competition for us. A rising China can be a significant asset for the region and the world, and selfishly for the United States. We want China to grow. What are we worried about?
Oh my goodness. Senator Blackburn, what are we worried about? Well, a lot. Maybe you could tell our audience, Joe Biden has been in the game for 47 years, and really his votes and policies with respect to China have hurt the American people. Why has he been so bad when it comes to the America-China relationship, and why could we never expect him to get any better?
He is not going to get any better because he has built his career saying that we need to have these companies making cheaper goods or making goods in places that they can make them for less. It was kind of that corporate profit type greed that he was constantly voting for. When people in the Midwest, states like Illinois and Indiana and Minnesota and Wisconsin, when they say, where did our jobs go? Where did they go? They went to China on Joe Biden's votes. That is what has happened. And, you know, Laura, it doesn't matter if it is vaccines or antibiotics, or if it is consumer goods or food or children's toys, all things that we hear moms complain about. You know, remember some of these things. When a few years ago, we couldn't get antibiotics for children. They were all made in China, single sourced from one factory. A couple of years ago, we had an issue with heparin that was contaminated. It was from China. We had some individuals in this country that lost their life because of that. We had lead in children's toys. And why did that happen? Because all that production had been shipped to China. Joe Biden has been voting for every trade deal that sent those jobs to China. When he was vice president, he was in charge of China policy. The TPP that fortunately President Trump stopped, that is something Joe Biden was bringing to bear.
That's right. Well, you know, it's interesting because he says, Senator Blackburn, they're not bad folks, yet we see consistently time and time again, and you're pointing out some great ways that China has been bad to the United States.
Absolutely. And what we have to realize is when you look at coronavirus, and I will tell you, Laura, I think so many Tennesseans finally realized what we had been talking about with China, because they've built their business model on being able to steal our intellectual property and then monetize that. Look at what they've done to our songwriters, our entertainers. Look at what they've done to companies like Gibson Guitar by pirating that merchandise and then ripping off that entertainment and benefiting from that. Reverse engineering auto manufacturing components and aftermarket auto parts. That's China for you. And it is wonderful that President Trump has held them to account. And in 2016, when he was campaigning and he would mention China, I was so excited because when I came to Congress, I started the Congressional Songwriters Caucus to help these entertainers and to fight back and to educate about intellectual property. So we've been fighting this for a long time. And we really have appreciated the president's good leadership on these issues.
Yeah, and we're also fortunate, by the way, that Joe Biden wasn't in charge during this coronavirus pandemic. We know it came from China, Marsha. We know that they sent it. It decimated economies around the world. And of course, when Donald Trump stopped travel coming from China to the United States, what did Joe Biden do? He called it xenophobic. But thank goodness we had a president that has stood up to China. I don't really think that anyone expects that Joe Biden could stand up to China. We know that his family business is tied to China. His son Hunter inked a $1.5 billion deal with the Chinese Communist government. So would we ever expect Joe Biden to stand up to them? I think the answer is probably no.
The answer is definitely no. You look at Hunter Biden's dealings, you look at Joe Biden's vote record, and you see that he has not been there to push back on China. And here's one of the things that I think coronavirus and COVID-19 has really brought to bear with the American people is that China has gone forward doing these things and shortchanging the U.S. consumer and the U.S. job holder because they felt like they could get away with it. They felt like we were going to give them the benefit of the doubt, that we were going to help them. But what we have learned is that China does not want to learn how to participate and work with and be a part of the community of nations. China is expecting the U.S. to be subservient to them. They feel like the 21st century is going to be the China century. And thank goodness that the Trump administration has says, oh no, it will not. And they are working to bring jobs back to the United States and to unravel this relationship that has built up with China over the last 50 years. And who's been casting those votes, pro-China votes for 50 years? Joe Biden.
That's exactly right. Now, I want to switch gears for a moment because we see history made, Senator Blackburn, by this president, Donald Trump, all the time, but especially recently in the past week. What did we see? We saw a historic peace agreement come together between Israel, the United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain. Now, I want to ask you this. You obviously have been around Washington, D.C. for quite some time. If this happened under the Obama administration, would we not have expected the media to laud this as such a great accolade, such a great thing to happen, not just for the United States and for an American president to help make this happen, but it's such a great thing for the world? I think that is very interesting. We have heard very little from the mainstream media in terms of praise for President Trump on this. All they can talk about is that nobody was wearing enough masks or socially distanced enough at the actual signing of this. But I also want to get your thoughts on what this means for world peace under President Donald Trump, because he's done things that other presidents said they would do, but only Donald Trump has actually delivered on these things.
He has delivered on these things. And Laura, what we have to realize is that with suburban women and with moms all across this country, the number one issue is safety and security. They want safety and security for their family, for their neighborhoods, for their country. They want to bring an end to long-running wars so that their children are not going to have to go fight these wars. And I give the Trump administration and President Trump so much credit for the work that they have done on this issue. And, you know, for 5 years when I was serving in the House, I had a piece of legislation that would move our embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. It was bipartisan. We could pass it in the House. We could not get the Senate to pass it. And President Trump, when he heard about this, what did he do? By executive order, he moved our U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. What is happening? Others are following suit. And now he's taken an additional step, and he has the UAE and Bahrain at the table. They have signed the Abraham Accords with Israel. And to have these leaders together with the president at the White House and everybody saying, let's work together for peace in our region. Let's stand against what is happening to us, the threats from Iran. And again, thanking President Trump for getting us out of the Iran deal. Let's stand up against this new axis of evil, which is Iran and Russia and China and North Korea. These are vital steps when it comes to a more peaceful globe and global community. And Laura, you know, as we look at these issues, we know that when they can come together and settle these differences that have been geopolitical differences, it is going to open the door for other opportunities for them, for economic growth, for stability, for education, for additional partnerships. And I'm just so grateful that President Trump has taken these steps to help stabilize the Middle East.
Yeah, it's so important. And I think anybody that is telling themselves the truth can see that and would say the same exact thing. I want to get some final thoughts from you, Senator Blackburn, as we head towards the end of our show. You know, we are steps away from a very consequential election. November 3rd is coming up very fast. And as we head there, what would you say to people out there who maybe aren't sure that they want to go out and vote in this election, or aren't sure for whom they're going to cast their vote in this election? What would you say to them?
Oh, they need to look at the policies and the achievements of President Donald Trump. I was just on the floor of the Senate a few moments ago speaking about the economic growth that we saw in 2019, with incomes rising at unprecedented levels, poverty diminishing, the Black poverty rate lower than ever. These are important steps. What they need to do is look at the policies of President Trump and then look at what happened under the Obama-Biden administration. You know, when we had H1N1, a pandemic, it took them about 6 months to get a federal response in line for that. What did President Trump do? He ended travel with China. He told China we were going to hold them to account. Federal agencies were moving too slowly. What did he do? He brought in the private sector who can help make ventilators, who can help make face shields, who can do PPE. He brought in the retailers. Help us get this out to the American people so that they can use it. Who can get masks out? Who can get sanitizer? Called on our good whiskey distillers in Tennessee to start making sanitizer. And you know what? People did it because the president asked. And they need to look at this. This is someone, President Trump understands leadership. And he understands that somebody has got to take charge and do things differently. He made promises. He said, I'll drain the swamp. All of these liberal elites in Washington, D.C. do not like that. It is upsetting their apple cart. But President Trump has kept his word. And now, as my grandson says, those alligators in the swamp are beginning to try to bite back. But we can't let them win. We have to make certain we keep our nation on this course of peace in the Middle East, of growth and economics, that we look to rebuilding these communities, rebuilding our military, which the president has done such a great job working with us to do that. That is the type of progress that the American people want to see. That is what is going to help us with liberty and freedom and justice for all for future generations.
I feel like I can't even say it better. We should make that into a campaign ad. I mean, fantastic. All right, Senator Marsha Blackburn, we thank you so much for being with us. And we know you have a new book out. So before we let you go, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, I will. It's called The Mind of a Conservative Woman. And it is perfect for conservative women that are in the public space. And, you know, the mainstream media likes to ridicule and mock and belittle conservative women. This is a book that says, this is why I'm a conservative. And it is a great way to get armored up, to be a happy warrior. And for our friends who are independents and say, oh, I'm not Democrat or Republican, I just look at the issues. It is a wonderful way to give them a landing spot. And what we want to do is make certain that women know how to compete as we are in this 2020 election cycle. So The Mind of a Conservative Woman, a great read that will armor you up and get you ready to be out there on the campaign trail.
Well, I think I need to pick a copy up for myself. Wow, this is fantastic. I'm so glad you're putting that out there for all of us. And thank you. Thanks for everything you do, Senator Blackburn, and thanks for being with us on Team Trump Online today.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
And I want to say thank you to both our guests, Dana White from the UFC and Senator Marsha Blackburn. And that wraps it up for us on another episode of Team Trump Online. We'll see you right here next time. Thanks so much.